We are back with our main show, and we are here live as always. And let me just get some Zoom stuff straight. So we're gonna go to Van. And,
Yes, I'm here.
okay, and everyone should be there. So, all right, we're back. So as always, coming back in, I throw it to Van.
Okay, so just in case you missed part one and we're in part two, welcome back, all of our viewers and listeners. This is Philly Funk Radio. Of course, you can check us out live on phillyfunkradio.com. Also, Vanstone Philadelphia, we have a lot of brands that really is about Vanstone. And of course, Vanstone is about the family and, of course, Black Americans. And right now, since we're talking about Philadelphia in general, because we're here live in Philadelphia, this is about Black Philadelphia's tying into what's happening in the community. So we get a little serious with this because we have a theme on this part is based on chaplains in the city. You know, whether you're a pastor or reverend or whatever you call yourself, is basically about watching the chaplains. And then that's the case, then we deal with two different things here. We're talking about your spiritual health and your financial health. And we're going to just have a quick discussion. Doesn't matter what it is, but both of them really go together. And most people don't realize that. So, of course, with us on the show here, who's a part of our show, he's part of the family, is Wood Live, my nephew. He is the expert that we rely on sports, also on entertainment and other things. So, I just wanted to talk about something that, I think everyone should really realize. And it's not just the Palestine Hamas war, but what's happening here in Philadelphia and how the conditions in Philly are really just so bad that pretty much shortly Black Philadelphians will be wiped out of Philadelphia. How could that be? Philadelphia is so large, it's not really just a city, but it's actually a state. And so, with that in mind, I just want to, talk about that with Wood Live. What do you think we really need to get into as far as the devastation, man? And so we can um, bring out some points.
Man, that's a hard one right there, man. I mean, I
Well,
mean,
you know what? You know what? You remember we was talking offline, and we were talking
right.
about the things that, especially us as Black Americans, Black Philadelphians, Black people in general, we don't really know when things are going on. It's just the surface, but what's really happening behind the scene, man? And you will bring out some points.
I mean, well, I mean, behind the scenes is like if you look, just look at how things were from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, early 2000s till now. And, you know, I was born in 76, so I was probably like one of the last generations that had a little bit of chance to play outside a little bit. So I guess once it's kind of hard because we don't really we don't really have our own neighborhood at all. I mean, I don't know from the child when time when you was living, we just live there. You know what I'm saying? We rent and we pretty much kind of like low end jobs except people that get certified or if you get into politics and stuff like that. So
Right, but you were telling me I'm tying it into our spiritual health, meaning trauma,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. I
You're
mean, but I, I mean, I think the hardest part is that just on a block, like when kids are outside, people, it's from back in those days. Everybody pretty much knew each other. You're living on a block where people don't even communicate with each other regularly. You just walk right by each other. So we just like kind of like living in tenements.
yes, but
It's like,
exactly that was the
but
point you was bringing out. You were saying before we do such and such, we need to get our mind and emotions together. I'm kind of reminding you of that
yeah,
great conversation
I
we had.
remember what you were saying, but I mean,
No,
but
I was
are
listening to
you right?
you.
Right, all right. I get what you're saying because you're
There you go.
piggybacking off of that. But it's
I want
like,
you to bring that out so the viewers and listeners can hear that.
I mean, like we don't have any right now. We're like probably at the lowest morale that we've had, since I've been noticing. Whether it's entertainment or just just being able to communicate with each other. You know what I'm saying? There's it's like divisions between the old and the young, and we still got a lot of colorism going on, and capitalism is playing a part in it as well. You know what I'm saying? So we're like in the consumer age. Like we just spend and we worry about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We don't worry about the curriculum that they're teaching. The history ain't right. Spiritually, it's like we got all our stuff from the masters at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like we had, who was the first man to learn how to read after, not knowing how to read for a long time. You know what I'm saying? There were things that we was not allowed to do up until a certain point. So it's like you look at us, try to, the time when Bill Cosby and everybody wanted to go to college. They wanted to be part of the system and do well. But what happened after the 90s? You know what I'm saying? What happened in the mid 90s? I guess you got to blame it on, us. I don't know. I guess we kind of sold each other out, during those times because, the drugs and the guns, we didn't make them, but they sure made their way to our neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And from experience, you can see how my life went. Just me being your nephew and my mom. I watched snowfall and I thought it was like an insult watching it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like you watch snowfalls, it's really that people are entertained by it, but it was really insulting. You know what I'm saying? Like just watching the whole 3 seasons of just where we are now.
And can you do something for me while I'm bringing in Warren Boom? He's back. Before Warren has a comment on it, I think you'll be surprised that a lot of people don't even know what snowfall is. Can you just real quick tell us what you're talking about? I know what it is. It was a show, but
I mean, it was a show that basically it's like they make money off of our us our issues, our poverty stricken issues, and they make money off it after they make a movie off it and a TV show and it blow up because you see the stuff that we. Most of us are like drug dealers. You don't see a lot of doctors and that type of stuff, portraying who we are. And you see, as you can see that, they're pretty much, even in the entertainment industry, you see that they're pushing us out in that sense because most of the people that you see that is Black, they're not even like foundational Black. They're like foreigners or they're like our cousins from another mother, but they from, they came through with, a lot of them are Spanish, but they came through the Tudors, conquistadors. You know what I'm saying? So they like Spanish, they like Dominicans and stuff like that. Their culture is a little different, but as they're replacing them with us. As you can see, the border crisis is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And they was gonna do all of this anyway. I don't care what. This was all planned anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's like we have no say in none of this stuff that's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so let me throw it over to Warren Bloom because basically Warren is the senior here, believe it or not. And with Black Philadelphia and poverty, are you able to pick up on that, Warren? Do you have any comments on that?
Well, I think he was saying is that because we had a period of prosperity during the 90s, I guess, in the African American community. And at that time, there was a lot of hope and for the future and how things, would how things would progress. I guess you have to marginalize that because, like he was saying, it's some of us came up, and some of us had more of a reality check. We were talking about open borders today, ironically, how no other country except America you can just come in, and many of those people who are coming in are taking hold of the benefits that we labored for, and a lot of benefits we can't even get ourselves. But we're giving them to the immigrants, stuff like that. All that stuff is causing a lot of frustration in the community, and people, like you were saying, people really now they have very little hope in the system. And they feel taken advantage of and exploited in some sort of way. And as African American people, we're just seeing a a slow decline, I guess, in the goods and services that we should be receiving, but yet they're giving them to other minorities and immigrants who are just taking advantage of our system, uh, even though they are coming in at an alarming rate, I would guess. But citizenship is something else that those who want to take full advantage of our democracy, they have to apply for citizenship. I'm expecting some other people to join in.
Okay,
And
but they got to come in.
yeah, they're calling me right now on the other phone. So I'm just
Okay.
going to put on hold, but until.
Okay, we're going to continue. That's fine. Wood, let me just say this while we're waiting on Warren Bloom to bring his guests in. And then we're going to throw it back to Jerry because he's going to take over. Hello. Okay, Jerry, there's somebody else in.
Okay.
They're right there.
So
How
here's
you doing?
Bishop R.T. Jones right now.
I'm in, yes.
Him. How are you, Bishop?
Okay,
I'm doing well.
great.
Wait a minute.
Welcome
Let
to
me see
welcome
if
to the show.
can y'all hear
Welcome
him?
to-
I can't hear him. What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
can-
can,
I
I'm
can-
doing
I-
well.
So
I got
so let me say this. Welcome to the show because we're into our part two, and we're also on a time frame on the second part of the show where we're live. We have commercials and other things we need to get to. So stand by as you come in. I'm going to conclude on one point. We'll get back to that when we want to then throw it back to Jerry so he can do what he needs to do for the other part of the show. But I will say this: when we're talking about Black Americans and we're talking about the spirituality, right? Spiritual health and financial health. And believe it or not, all the people, regardless of where they come from, who are Black, they come in with a spirituality. So that's what Chaplain Watch is about. That's why I want to bring this about. No matter what the problem is, we're all coming in with spirituality, but what's the real answer? Right now, we need reparations, and we're not getting reparations. And so I tell you what, every person who's Black should at least be getting $100,000 a year from the door minimum. So, with that in mind, Jerry, I'm going to throw this back to you.
Now, question, Van. So I did want to ask you this.
Do we got enough time before you do all the other stuff? I just want to make sure. And we're going to talk a little more. I just want to make sure.
We have time. We're not on the
Okay.
10-minute thing. But, so
All right.
you just mentioned you think everyone should get, what'd you say, 100,000?
Yes.
So let me ask you the question. I just got to, not playing necessarily devil's advocate, because I kind of agree with you, of course. I would love 100
Okay.
grand. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that would solve the problems in the inner city? Throwing
Yes.
100,000 at everybody.
Yes. And here's why. There's an actual scale which this country says that all of us, according to age, we are supposed to have. If we're Americans, this is what you're supposed to have. And believe it or not, $100,000 is a joke in the sense that if someone is 18 to 20 years old, you know how much money they're supposed to be making a year? $40,000. Now, if you take someone who's 70 years old, you think they're making $40,000 a year as the average? No. And as you go up to the next level, okay, when you talk about right now, someone who's say 50, you know how much money they're supposed to be making a year? $300,000. Now, this is for every American. So when you say for reparations in every Black American, of course we should get $100,000 minimum. And would that help? Of course, because the money would spin around so that this country would keep going. So the money is not going to bankrupt anybody. It's going to help all of us. But every time, because we're Black, that's what comes out. You talk about Black people, oh no, wait a minute, that's too much. You talk about white people, then that's nowhere close enough. They have a scale, the kind of money that they're supposed to have. We're not even included in that.
Well, the
How many
government,
youngsters do you know is making $40,000 a year and they're 18 years old? You tell me.
well, I was going to say the government definitely has it, because I know we're spending all this money, billions and billions over in Israel as well as over in the Ukraine, and we just keep sending the money, when we still got people here on the street. I know I seen a report that like times are getting so tough that like the places that do charity donations like Toys for Tots, like they're not even getting donations because people just don't have it. So, It's kind of like I know they got it, but are they going to give it up? That's the question.
Okay. Well, we have another guest. Since you said we have time, the guest is first time to our show. Let's allow that guest to make a comment. And then we got Wood Live that's still here. So what's the opinion of the other guest? Because this is the spiritual side and talking about spiritual and financial health.
Am I a guest?
Yes.
Go ahead, Bishop.
How you?
Bishop R.P. Jones.
Now let me just say this. My first job, I made $1.10 an hour. I could do the same thing with that $1.10 an hour then that I could do with $40 or $50 an hour now. So I'm not sure that money is the answer. I'm just not sure because, the more money we make, the higher the prices go. So how do we deal with that? Understand this, a plumber can live next door to a doctor. So we have left off the trades. Our children, our young people are not learning the trades, and they're all going to other folks and other ethnicities while we're sitting out on the street begging.
Facts.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, you are. And before you say something, Wood, let me just say this. Because it's your first time on our show, I really thank you for being a part of our show. And just to let you know, this is how our show works. We do not challenge. We do not debate. So we allow everyone to have their opinion. And we are not going to say anything contrary. We're just going to continue. Now, with what you just said, I'm going to throw it to Wood Live. But with $1 that you had then, imagine if we had 100,000 people and you gave every Black person $1. You do realize that that's $100,000.
Yes.
So that money, we're talking about financial health. That's what this piece is about. Healthy wise, not the total answer, but your health. All right, Wood, what you got?
By the way, Wood, before you respond, we do have another guest.
Dr. Patricia Ramsey, good evening. She's driving.
Okay.
So we can't
Ramsey,
hear her.
can you hear us?
Welcome. Okay, we'll get her in. So Wood, what Live, what you have to say?
I want to piggyback off of what the elder said. It's like, where money is that's fiat currency. So, when I said to you personally that we need to get our mind right, it's like, some of the teaching starts at home and we need to really be like a little bit more independent of this system to a sense. We need like our own elites, our own land, like our own land for agriculture and for our own health.
We can see you, Dr. Ramsey, but you have to probably hit your mute button or the speaker button. But I'm sorry, but keep talking.
No, you can't do that. You can't come across. He's talking, man. You got to do something else.
Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Wood.
Yeah, I was saying like far as agriculture, land, that 40 acres and a mule type stuff, our own buildings, our own stuff. I go downtown, they got buildings, Jewish foundation centers and stuff like that. We need our own elite, our own stuff so we could be able to produce and be able to sell our own goods and stuff like that. That particular stuff. Well, that's where I see like independence. When every culture that do come over here, they bring some of their own traditions and stuff like that, and they still have a homeland. So at the end of the day, it's like, you it's guns and butter. It's like what we need to be in like reproduction, our own, and so the money can circulate and we can buy off our own, having, that type of stuff, and until then, we're going to still have to do things the traditional way. And I don't think that has been working. Everybody just find a niche.
Okay. Well, the subject is spiritual health and financial health. So that's great. I want to throw it back to Jerry. Are we in time for do some other stuff, or do we have time for our next guest to make a comment? Because I want to help, make sure we get everything in.
So we got about 10 more minutes, so we're going to run everything we need to run. But if someone needs to make a comment, they can make that before we go into running our clips. Okay,
so is our next guest in? Because Warren, you were trying to help the next guest.
I do not hear her.
Yeah, Dr. Ramsey, I don't know if she was trying to connect I think she was in, but I was. She probably had to unmute her audio. But
Okay.
she's driving now. I suggest to her that. All right, Dr. Ramsey, can you see it so we can see you? Can you hear us? Because you might have to hit your unmute button or your speaker button, but since you're driving, this may not be good for you to be doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
I was,
in the meantime, I like to throw it back to the other guests because I'm sure since we got time for a comment,
and we're gonna
let's get a follow-up comment.
And after the follow-up comment, we're gonna start running our other stuff. Go ahead.
No, I'm throwing it back to the other guests.
Gotcha.
Oh, and I remember, paying 6 cents for a tasty pie. How much are they now? 6 cents. How much is a tasty pie today?
$2.
I remember paying 15 cents for a loaf of bread. How much is bread today? A nickel for a cup of coffee. How much is it today?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be honest. I just spent like $4 almost for a loaf of bread. So,
so what I'm saying is, the more money you make, the higher the prices go. So where's there a balance now? That's the question.
Okay. Well, I have an answer because
I'm
for
sure.
one, I am a professional dealing with clinical and the community, and that's why we're bringing out these points. Spiritual and also financial, and if you put them together, then you will see the difference in how you handle all these things, regardless of what money you have. That's
Yes.
why this is called the Chaplain Watch. And I'm going to throw it back and watch this. Then I'll
by
throw
the
it back
way,
to
we have
Warren.
9 minutes.
The problem is on every corner, there's a church. And there's supposed to be a chaplain who's supposed to provide resources. And whatever we're saying, the problem is if you're not getting that direction. So that's why for us as Black Americans, we don't know what to do. But we do need the money. Is that good timing, Jerry, or what?
Yeah, so we're actually going to start now. A couple of clips that were shown. Speaking of, it's kind of on topic because there's one regarding the assassination of Dr. King. So that's one. And the other was back in 1929, this 14-year-old basically got executed. So those are the two clips that we're going to show you. But I wanted to run these two slides from where is it? Oh yeah, I'm on the wrong thing. Let me see. I cannot see. There we go. So the first one we're looking at is about the after school. Van, did you want to get a little bit of explanation?
Sure, real quick. This is all about Roger Robbie and all the different things as a brand with the Van Stone brand. We're talking safe streets, and in the streets, what else could be safe streets but nutrition? So you can run the slide where Roger Robbie is joined by Dr. J. If you're old enough, you know who Dr. J is. And Dr. J has worked with our organization and still is, Van Stone. So that's what the slide's about. Also, black and white. And then it's the same image, which is color, because for the youth, we're talking about the fun things that we can do. So if you have anything that will help us raise money, we're all about the graphics and things like that. So we're just letting, those who want to advertise, see what we could do with our show.
Okay, so we're going to run our two clips, which are 2 minutes apiece. So everybody just note we'll be silent for about 4 minutes, and then we'll come back and wrap up. So let's go with the first. Let's go with the first one right here on our live show.
I was the youngest person ever sentenced to death in history. I was 14 years old and innocent. My story inspired the movie The Green Mile. My name is George Senny and this is my story. I was born on October 21st, 1929, in South Carolina, United States. I grew up in a poor, black family in a country where racial segregation was deeply rooted. In 1944, 2 young white girls were found dead near my home. Betty June Binnicker, age 11, and Mary Emma Thames, age 7, were discovered in a ditch filled with water with severe head injuries. I was arrested and accused of their murder, without any motive or evidence against me. I was interrogated for several hours by the police, without the presence of a lawyer or my parents. They deprived me of food and sleep to force me to confess to the murder. Exhausted, I cracked and repeated what they wanted me to say. A month later, my trial began. It lasted only a few hours. The judge appointed me an incompetent lawyer. The jury was exclusively composed of whites. My family was prevented from attending the trial because of their race. The verdict came quickly and I was sentenced to death by electrocution. My sentence was executed only 83 days after my arrest, on June 16, 1944. They tied me to an electric chair. I was too small, so they made me sit on a Bible. They executed me at the age of 14, making me the youngest person ever to be executed in the United States during the 20th century. It took until 2014, 70 years after my death, for my conviction to be overturned and for my family to obtain justice. It was finally recognized that my constitutional rights had been violated and that the death penalty had been wrongly pronounced. My story is a sad example of how racial discrimination and prejudice can affect the justice system and destroy innocent lives. I hope that my story will help ensure that this never happens again.
You know Dr. King survived the shooting on the balcony?
On the balcony, yeah.
What?
Dr. King got to the, you got to read the book,
Yeah,
bro. I
yeah,
got the
yeah.
audio book on iTunes.
Yeah.
This is William Pepper, the white lawyer,
On the way to, yeah.
who sued on behalf of the King family and won in court, proving that the FBI killed King, not James Earl Ray. Well, this is his last book because he wrote two others, Orders to Kill and An Active State. This is the plot to kill King. He says that King survived the shooting. Guess what happened? Dr. King gets to the hospital. Because you got to know how wicked white folks is. Dr. King gets to the hospital. A white nurse says she was ordered by the attending physician to get out.
Get out.
She's walking out the room where Dr. King is laying, and she hear people spitting. She turns around, and the doctor, who we found out later was the family physician for the Memphis, Tennessee Italian Mafia family, who participated in the setup for the King death. The Mafia is a pro-government organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
For
She
people
turned
who
around.
don't know.
The FBI agents and this white doctor were spitting on Dr. King, and then the doctor took a pillow. She saw it and suffocated Dr. King to death.
Get out of here. Wow.
And he also confirms that Jesse Jackson is the one who switched Dr. King's hotel room from the bottom floor to the second floor so they
That's
could have
what
an
he was
early easier
saying.
shot.
I heard about that. The guy
And he stood to the side.
the guy was
Well,
like,
Jesse
yeah.
didn't want to be up there. No.
you
black guy.
No. You're talking about the Reverend Billy Cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like,
listen,
we.
check it out.
Listen. I was like, what?
Jesse was supposed to be on the balcony, but he chose to stay down below because he was too scared he might be shot. And guess who the killer was? A marksman for the Memphis, Tennessee Police Department. He got shot by a cop, just like Trayvon and Fred.
Wow. I mean, speaking of
Showed up alive. Showed up alive and they suffocated him.
So to talk. Should have had.
Yeah. Well, whoever said that, they don't know what they're talking
All right.
about.
We are back
Okay.
after taking a little 4-minute intermission, and we're going to wrap up. So, is there anything else anybody wants to bring up before we go?
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw it around. Let's start with our guest today, who's joined the show for the first time. Forgive me for not remembering your name and so many
That's
thoughts.
Bishop R.T. Jones.
R.T.
Yeah.
Jones.
You have any final comments for today's show?
Yes. Brother Warren was talking about Pearl Harbor. And I can remember growing up, if it says made in Japan, people would laugh. And so now stuff is made in Japan. Now we're going to get stuff made in Japan. Where's that transition, and how come we have not been able to keep up with that here in the United States?
Okay,
Good point.
Warren, your turn.
That's a good point. Yes. Back in the day when you saw Made in Japan, that was considered something cheap. And, most people did not embrace that.
People laughed.
But now Made in Japan now, Japan now, I was just looking at something. They just launched the latest aircraft fighter that has shocked the world. You can go on YouTube and see it. So their technology has really exceeded ours in a lot of ways and different things. But America still leads the world basically in overall technology and stuff like that. But the innovations of Japan now are very impressive.
We're live. You go.
Right here.
Final words. We're closing out.
Wait a minute. What was the last thing? It was over the you said the Pearl Harbor.
It's anything
Yeah.
you want. They're just
Oh,
closing out.
well, right now, I'm actually watching the Milwaukee. They have this NBA on the NBA. They have this in season tournament where it shows like it has something to do with the seeding of the playoffs, and it's all really a ploy to make more money for the gambling apps like FanDuel and DraftKings and Bet Rivers and stuff like that. So I'm actually watching the game, and I actually got like a little wager on the game as we speak. So, so you know,
Okay.
I'm just sitting here hoping I can double up my money and stuff on watching Indiana versus Milwaukee Bucks. They have their star that their star is Giannis. It's the first basketball player I see that walks on every time he goes to the hoop. He takes like 19 steps and then he all long and stuff. You know, it's amazing to watching basketball compared to it was watching Dr. J when I was a kid. You know.
Okay. And guess what? Since it's my last closeout, I'm going to give my time back to you, Wood Live, because
Well,
you mentioned in sports.
we're about to
Have
lose
we run out
time.
of time already, Jerry?
Yeah, we're about to lose time. I don't want it to get cut off.
Okay.
Sorry, I did just want to.
Okay.
I wanted to say real quick, because we'll do this again. We could probably do this again Saturday. But I just wanted to, and I'm sure Warren and the guest, which by the way is not a guest, he's family, Jones. I'm sure he would agree. Thoughts and prayers go to the family of the security officer that was killed down at the
Yes.
Macy's this week at 13th Street. I do security.
Yeah.
Myself as well, and we've had incidents at my job where guns have been drawn on us, so I know how that feels, and for a life to be lost over something so senseless, like I said, thoughts and prayers to the family.
Okay.
So
Let's
anyway,
go.
we're going to wrap up. So thank you for
All right.
joining us, everybody, and have a wonderful evening.